Ah, Boston, the Big Apple, the Windy City. I'm Jordan Wold, and when I moved to Boston 8 months ago, I was transformed. You see, Boston is the world's oldest city, and as a result, there are plenty of mysteries hiding around every corner. Recently, I felt compelled to solve these mysteries. Namely, I'd really like to solve a murder. But before I can try that, we need to figure out if I do indeed have what it takes to solve a murder. Now you might be wondering, why not just try and solve a murder? But you see, we don't know if I have what it takes yet, so today, that's what we are going to do. Naturally, my first step was to ask for advice from uneducated citizens. What skills do you think a detective needs to have?
Needs to be really clever, smart, thinking outside of the box.
My one question for you today is, what skills do you think a detective needs to have?
It's gonna be quick, smart, and active.
Wait, now quick, do you mean quick-witted or like quick physically?
No.
I'd say curiosity.
Curiosity? Right. So then, based on having just met me, do you think I'd be a good detective?
No idea.
Fair answer. Now carrying the advice of complete strangers, I felt it was important to test myself, to find out if I indeed possess these skills. So, I took a free online aptitude test, which measured my interest and skill levels in various departments. I hoped it would tell me if I could solve a murder. Unfortunately, the results proved to be inconclusive and just impossible to understand. Next, I attempted to solve a series of riddles, which I initially hoped would help in testing my wits.
What flies when it's born, lies when it's alive, and runs when it's dead?
Is it a bird? Can I have a hint?
Yeah, it's not an animal.
Oh, is it a man?
No.
Is it a living thing?
No.
Is it a clock?
Clock flies when it's born.
This activity was no help because riddles are impossible, terrible enigmas, and I'm no less intelligent than I was before for not being able to solve them. Finally, I sought the advice of a higher power and decided to pay a visit to Melissa Peel, a Boston-based psychic I once interviewed for a podcast. I don't always understand exactly what Melissa is doing, but she's an expert, so I put all of my trust in her.
So tell me about what we'll be looking into.
Okay, so it's strange, but my calling recently, I still feel the need to create and make things, and I definitely think that's always going to be what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But recently I've been feeling like I could, well, I'm wondering if I could or should become some sort of private investigator, because I think I could solve a murder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sort of curious as to if there's anything out there, to help me find out if I could do something like this.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So here's the one thing that I dislike about this for you right away. Because it's this constant, you reach for something and then it slips through your fingers. You keep reaching and it slips through your fingers. This is going to be a jagged edge like this to you. I don't love jagged edges.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to necessarily do the whole murder thing
Mm-hmm.
right away, because that is going to take a long time.
Yeah.
You can get yourself into some situations if you don't think fast enough, and I really feel like you need to learn that street smart type stuff more so than the average person.
Right.
I feel like you'd be fine at the, because you can fit in, they're showing me this image of you like blending in, you know, in the back of the line somewhere, listening to every single thing, making it look like you're doing something else, so you're good by that. But it's the, if you're in a situation, I just get this look of surprise, maybe a little bit of terror, maybe a little bit of fear on your face where you're like, oh, what do I say, what do I do? I don't know.
Incredibly shocked and disheartened, I took some time to reflect on the images that the spirit guides gave to Melissa. Any layman could understand that these images and words that seem random and incoherent actually tell a lot about my skills. So in that moment, I made a choice, a decision to, for the time being, set aside my childish dreams of solving a murder. Sayonara, I whispered as I tossed away my dream and moved on to the next thing.
You're sailing softly through the sun.